Hello everyone and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, where we're here at the Alton Towers Resort for the long-awaited reopening of Hex, the Legend of the Towers.
We are so excited that Hex is back. I'm so excited to see people walking through those doors again and enjoying the ride because we love it so much.
It's not just the ride, it's about the full experience of Hex. You're walking through there, you've got the pre-shows, and then of course you get into the vault itself. It really is an immersive experience. It's been operating here at Alton Towers for 24 years, opened back in year 2000, based on a real local legend of the chained oak and the curse of the old beggar woman, and you can actually visit the chained oak just down the road, which is amazing, isn't it?
Oh, we go quite often to go and look at it, and it's just excellent to go down there and see it in person.
That's something that's always made Alton Towers, when they come up with these stories and added on to the local legend with Hex. It really is fantastic, so I'm looking forward to getting back on there and seeing what the ride's going to be like. And it's a beautiful morning here at Alton Towers on the first day of Scarefest. A little bit chilly, but that does add to the atmosphere. And of course, our main Scarefest vlog is now already online, so make sure you check it out if you haven't already seen it. We are beautiful this morning as we make our way into Hex. And now Alton Towers have actually invited us out today for a special preview of the ride this morning. And this is part of a new content creator program that Alton Towers are going to be officially launching in 2025, but are starting off with this event, which I'm quite interested about. Now, we don't know all the details about this program yet. Hopefully we're going to find out a lot more today, but I'm just hoping it means there's going to be more events, more chance to hopefully film on ride at Alton Towers. That'd be great to share more POVs with you all in the future, and maybe more behind the scenes and special events that we can share with you all in addition to our usual Alton Towers content. That's what I'm hoping for, or maybe bringing it more in line with like Thorpe Park and Chessington, you know, that regularly do events and things like when World of Jumanji opened and Hyperia, behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what we want, like the behind the scenes stuff, so it's like extra content that you guys can enjoy.
Yeah, it's always kind of been like Alton Towers has done their own thing. Well, not really a lot, to be honest.
Exactly, yeah.
And then not really brought it in line with the other Merlin parks. So we'll see.
I'm glad that this is coming to force, so at least we can bring some more content.
Yeah, hopefully that's what it's all about. We want to take you along for the full experience. So I'm certainly going to be pushing for as much as we can do with this program. I really want to get some POVs, take you along for the experience, and let's just see what happens as Alton Towers launched this officially in 2025 for content creators. And just before we head through those iconic doors and into Hex, I just wanted to go through some information here that the resorts have provided for us today. A little bit about the refurbishment and also the history of the ride as well. So yeah, they gave us this fact sheet, and as you can see here, it says that investment was required to make improvements to the ride's efficiency, operations, and the overall experience for guests. Obviously, it spent the best part of 2 years being closed, having so much downtime, so that was the biggest reason for this closure. And it says here, the resort opted to make a significant investment into the restoration of Hex as an attraction for future generations to come, opposed to closing the ride. So obviously there was discussions, you know, was it worth spending the money on what is now a 24-year-old ride? So we're certainly glad the money has been spent on this project, and looking forward to getting back inside there. As the project got underway, more additions were added to the plans, resulting in more work being undertaken that was initially planned in a bid to improve the reliability of the attraction for guests moving forward. And that's the big thing of this, it's improving the reliability. I'm hoping that not too much has changed from the show elements in there. It was perfect just the way it was. For me, it just needed to be reliable, and of course fixing the main issue with the ride itself. They've been working with the manufacturer, Vekoma, Merlin Magic Making have been involved, and in-house technical colleagues from across the resort as well. So yeah, it's good how they gave this out with quite a lot of information on. This goes into a little bit about what else has been updated. The existing lighting system fixtures have been removed and replaced throughout the attraction. Hopefully that's been done to a good standard, because lighting is a huge part of an attraction. It says here an additional 200 LED lights have been added to the attraction, which can be individually programmed. There's also a new show control system for it. So again, maybe more has actually happened in here than we were expecting. I thought it was more just going to be the focus on fixing the ride element, not adding lots of new lighting. So we'll see how that looks. Hopefully it's been done in quite a tasteful way. You can see that the smoke and haze machines have been upgraded. That's always a good thing, adding to the atmosphere. The audio system as well has been updated. Some new effects, it seems. Some little bits of new theming in there too, from reading this. And of course, several components of the actual ride have been replaced from Vekoma, including the 2 endpoint slew rings. It seemed like they were the main issue in terms of reliability on Hex. So they have been replaced, which is good to see. And lots of the other technical components that have been replaced as well, to hopefully make this ride a lot more reliable and not have as much downtime. But there we go. Yeah, I think it's nice how they go out this little fact sheet. Hopefully we'll have more of this sort of thing moving forwards. Right then, let's go. Here we go then, back inside the queue line for Hex, the Legend of the Towers. And I tell you what, it's been a while since we've been in here, and it's so nice just to walk down and just soak up this atmosphere again. Obviously they've kept all of the original videos just here in the queue line, but really enhanced the lighting on the sides, as you can see. It's got a little bit more depth to it and slightly more colour as well, but not too much either that it takes away from how it was before. It's just more updating the lighting. Nice to be back in here, Charlotte.
Oh, it's so nice to be back inside Hex. I've missed it so much.
It's the smell as well. Obviously you can't get that on YouTube, but there's a lovely smell as you're going through here. I mean, I think it's a lovely smell. It's like how do you describe it? Like a foisty kind of smell, isn't it?
You need it in a candle.
Yeah, with the smell pods. Kept all the scenes down at the side, things like the piano just here, all wrapped up, and things that we kind of found during the restoration, all part of the storyline that builds up. Yeah, one of the biggest changes is actually putting in this boarding here and also some more cloth as well, because obviously before you used to get a lot of light kind of shining down, especially on a sunny day, a lot of light shining down from the doors, so they've blocked this in quite a bit now, which is good. And obviously you used to have the turnstile here before, so yeah, this is like the biggest change really to the queue line, by putting this cloth up and just blocking it all in, yeah, which is looking pretty good. And obviously the turnstile's all gone. This means on a brighter day, when there's a lot of light shining in through the big open doors, it should be a lot darker down here now. And yeah, here's a look at it from this side. So they can close up the door just down there now. Kept all the little scenes down here at the side, and yeah, there's lots of like little details. The lighting's changed quite a lot actually, so you can see a lot of these different things now, like the keys just on there, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. Just a nice refresh. Well, originally we thought we were going to be able to film a lot more of the experience, especially with them saying there was going to be filming opportunities throughout, but unfortunately it does stop there. We'll talk more about the programme and what we're hoping from it later on after finding out a bit more today. But firstly, let's talk about the most important thing, and that is the return of Hex, the Legend of the Towers. Starting off with the queue line, some nice atmospheric lighting in there.
Yeah, like the lighting in there was really good. Like it was very low level, but it was done to a really good standard. It was just so nice to step foot in that queue line again.
Very atmospheric, and the smell as well as we were walking down there. A much welcome improvement is the first pre-show. So as soon as you stand there and you hear that opening spiel, it was so nice to hear it again, because before you had a lot of like light leaking in, whereas that isn't the case now because they've blocked it all in, as I showed you just, and they've also put a door on there so it can close, so it makes it a lot more immersive there now at the start of the experience, which I think is really nice.
It makes it a lot more personal because you just feel like you are in like this little world ready to go through the attraction, which is really nice.
Then of course the doors open up and you make your way into the main cinema room itself. Nothing's changed in terms of the audio, all the soundtrack's still the same. I think they've replaced a lot of the speakers and that's sounding really good, and along with that the actual visuals as well. The Hex story that we all know and love and has been the same since it opened is still there. It hasn't been touched at all. There was a couple more lighting additions that were done inside the cinema room, just down at the sides, just some blue flashes with the lightning, and I thought that fit really well.
Yeah, like you'd have the rumble of lightning, then you'd have like the blue lights going across, which was a really nice effect. It added something extra to that room where the walls there's not really much going on at all.
Yeah, it did. It added a bit more, and I've said for a while, because it's quite a long video in there, isn't it? It's about a 4-minute pre-show video. It's nice that they've added something in there, but not too much either. And then we made our way, once the doors opened again, into the Octagon room. I love the Octagon because, of course, it's a real part of the towers. I mean, that whole section you're walking through, like the queue line and the cinema room into the Octagon, it's not theming, it is actually in the towers, which is amazing. And the Octagon is on such a tall, grand scale. And as we were leaving, they did allow us to get a couple of shots, so I've just put them in for you here. But yeah, with the Octagon in there, of course, you've got a lot of drapes hanging down. You've also got lots of sound effects. And then, of course, the story builds up a little bit more before you make your way into the main vault itself. And with that inside there, they've added quite a lot of new lighting, which at first I thought was really good. Like we had some strobe lights and everything, and that looked good at first, didn't it?
Yeah, like there was so much going on. It was when it went towards the end of the scene where we had these like green lights, but I wasn't a massive fan of the green lights lighting that was in there, to be honest.
It was a bit strange because obviously the green strobe lights lit up a lot of the truss that was up there holding the lighting up, so that didn't look the best. Because obviously like a normal strobe light is like a lightning effect, but the green isn't. So yeah, I thought that was a bit strange. But then also in the Octagon, they'd done quite a lot of the sound effects, which was good. They updated the speakers in there, so it sounded a lot better. I think that was my biggest take from it all. I thought the audio sounded really good. Everything from the queue line to the cinema room, through into the Octagon, and then onto the vault itself. The generator in there, obviously you got like the backup generator. You have like a bit of a pyro effect that used to come from inside the generator. Now it actually comes from a box just out the front, so that doesn't look the best, to be honest, because obviously before it was like the sparks and the lights were flickering back on, whereas now the sparks are in front of it. I think that could have been placed a little bit better really. But then we made our way through up into the corridor that leads to the vault.
It was really nice. The ambient lighting in there was really good. There were some really nice smells as well as you was walking down.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest take. All the lighting throughout the queue line, the cinema room, the Octagon and that corridor was great because it was quite subtle, but you could tell they just made a couple of little tweaks, modernised it a little bit. Again, some more blue lighting, a few more cloths and drapes hanging down in that corridor. So I was thinking this is going to be fantastic. And then obviously we saw the Shrewsbury crest, which is really nice. Not an original, but of course part of the ride. And it's really nice how that's there, and that was all lit up. Got a lovely photo. And then we're into the vault itself, and obviously this is the main part of the ride, the Vekoma Madhouse itself. Obviously this is just my thoughts from this point. With Charlotte's back issue, you didn't ride.
So I couldn't ride it, so this is completely Sean's thoughts.
But you did get to see the pre-shows at least and walk through the vaults, nice. Yeah, to see it. But then in terms of the vault, no audio has changed or anything like that. It's still got that amazing score, that amazing soundtrack. But what has changed in there is the lighting and the programming of the lighting. Something that really made Hex before was how subtle some of the things were. You had this beautiful score, this amazing soundtrack, but the lighting just kind of flowed. It gently kind of went on and off. Whereas now it's a lot more kind of flashing, a bit disco-y with some of the lighting in there. I've got to say, I was sat there cringing a little bit at the lighting because it's been shut for so long. I was so excited to get back in that vault, and it's amazing to have Hex back. That's the biggest take. It's back open. It's more capacity for the park. I love that to bits. But the lighting definitely needs some tweaking in there. It's gone very cheap, very tacky in there now. Kind of imagine like the Haunted House Monster Party down at Legoland, but that fits with the theme. It's a monster party. Whereas with this, you're going through in the vault itself, and to the music, the lights are like full flashing. Instead of like fading gracefully, it's very flashy, and towards the end of the cycle, there's like a mirror ball kind of effect. It's not a mirror ball, but it's like projected up onto there, like spinning round. So I wasn't a fan of that. There was a lot more colour in there. There was some yellows, there was some reds, there was a lot of greens and blues. It felt just a bit disco, a bit party, and it took away from the building itself. Like, you know, you got this beautiful decor. They did such a good job back in the day when they created that to make it that immersive, make it feel like you're actually still in the towers. All this lighting that they've added in there completely wasn't needed. I can understand doing an update from standard lighting to maybe more LED, more energy efficient. I can certainly understand that, but they just didn't need to add all the lighting in there that they had. There's some new bits. And then we talk about the branch, Charlotte. I had to tell you about the branch.
No.
So the actual tree branch itself, obviously it's always had a fibre optic effect in there. Again, what made it was quite subtle. They've replaced the fibre optics in there, but now it's really bright. And it's actually on throughout the whole thing as part of the storyline. That was always lit up towards the end, whereas now it's just like flashing, and obviously you've got like the power wires that come from that up to actually power the vault, you know, as part of the storyline. And you've got this bright flashing lights now. It's all a bit too much, a bit over the top, I think. And something that made Hex was it was quite simple, it was minimalistic, it didn't need this big lighting update. So obviously a big part of why it was closed wasn't to do this, it was all about the ride system itself, because it's been having issues for some time, hasn't it?
It has. Like, I can't actually remember the last time I went on Hex. Like, I love that ride so much, but the money just wasn't spent on actually fixing the ride system, and it's just been going and going and going. So I'm glad that they've finally spent the money in fixing the ride.
We've had 2 years of them kind of spending a little bit. I don't want to say bodging it up, but you know, not really fully committing to spending the money on it. So at least now they have done that, which is good. And this is the biggest take of it from me. Yes, I'm disappointed with the overall show scenes and presentation in the vault. I think it looks a lot cheaper, and you know, before it wouldn't have looked out of place in the Disney and Universal park, whereas now it's very flashy, it's very like disco Hex, which doesn't fit at all. It reminds me a bit, if you remember when they did the Jewel update a few years ago,
and everything was too bright, and you could see like the bats and stuff and everything. You could see like everything on the ceiling because it was so bright.
Obviously that got rectified when they opened Alton Manor, and I think the lighting and presentation of Alton Manor is spectacular, and I think that's why I'm a little bit bit disappointed with Hex because I feel like Merlin Magic Making did an amazing job with the Curse of Alton Manor last year. The lighting and immersion in there is great, but then obviously with Hex, it was perfect as it was. It didn't need the lighting changes. The biggest take is the fix the ride system. The ride itself, take away the effect side of it, the ride itself was riding beautifully. There was no knocking sounds. You know, it was very smooth. It was very graceful, which I think is the biggest take of it, and that is obviously the most important thing. Hopefully it's going to be more reliable. It's adding capacity. We've all missed it. The park's missed it. It needs capacity, so I'm glad that they've done that.
Oh, I'm just so glad that it's back, but I'm just hoping that it stays reliable now and
Fingers
that it can
crossed.
keep operating to its full potential.
I hope so. And the good thing is with lighting, things can be tweaked, things can be programmed. I feel like maybe the lighting was rushed a little bit at the end of programming. It's not done to its potential yet. You know, all throughout the cinema, the octagon and everything up until that green lighting, you know, all that was really good. Like some subtle new lighting improvements, some like updated audio, speaker systems and everything. Not changing the soundtrack, but just updating the audio. But then it just didn't need that lighting upgrade in the vaults. It feels, it's a bit like a, you know, it's like a, way, you know, like this big party feel.
Just been kept as it was. Like the money didn't really need to be spent on all this fancy lighting when the vault was perfect as it was.
Yeah, it was beautiful in there. Like it's always been one of my favourite madhouses, and it still is. All is not lost yet, but I just hope that Alton Towers can rectify the lighting in there because it just feels really cheap and tacky with the lighting now. You got this beautiful theme and this amazing set pieces and dressing, and then the lighting just does take away from it in there for me now. It's a lot more kind of like a show, but it doesn't fit with the theme of Hex. Like what made it was its simplicity and how subtle it was, the graceful change in the lighting, some darker scenes. It's a lot brighter now. It's a lot more flashy. It's like no, 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 no. You know what I mean? And it just didn't need that. But still, there we go. That's our thoughts on it. Well, my thoughts. Charlotte will get to ride it soon, hopefully.
I'll get to ride it soon.
Fingers crossed. Then in terms of the content creator program, a little bit disappointed with today. We thought that we were going to be able to film a lot more and take you along. I was really excited about this. When Alton Towers posted about it a few weeks ago, saying they're looking at doing more events and things, and it's weird because obviously down at Chessington and Thorpe Park, you know, they've been doing events for years and getting everybody on board, and things like Fright Nights, allowing us to film in the maze and show you all that kind of stuff and do these little exclusive things. So we were hoping that's what it's going to be. It was very restricted. It was very much, you can film the queue line, you can take a couple of other bits, and that's all. So I think that's a shame. Moving forwards, I think, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this program. Like I say, it's not going to change our Alton Towers content at all, is it?
You're going to get honest reviews from us. Just because we're going to be on this program doesn't mean that we're going to be completely biased to what's going on. You're still going to get the complete reviews exactly how we like it. This is just an extra bit of content that we're going to be getting as well.
Yeah, it's additional stuff. Like we'll be keeping things honest and fair and constructive, like we always have done since this channel was started by myself in 2012. We've always been fair, we've always been honest, and saying it how it is at the moment. I think, you know, Alton Towers have got a bit of work to do with the program. Like we said, it's not officially launched until next year. They've got time. We're going to share some feedback with them, but I feel like it needs to be a matter of, if we can't film and take you along for these things, what is the point in it happening, really? So we're going to speak with Alton Towers and see where it's going to go moving forward. We'll always be honest, but see it as additional Alton Towers content instead of replacing our current content. We'll be keeping things exactly the same, honest reviews, keeping it how it is, praising where praise is due, giving constructive feedback when it's needed, and then obviously we will go from there in terms of additional content, because we were hoping it means that we're going to be able to film more, take you along for more behind the scenes, POVs, rider cam POVs, that sort of thing. At the moment, it's not sounding like that's the way they're going with it. Then obviously we'll make our decision whether it's the right thing to be part of or not for us, and mainly for all of you guys that watch our channel. We've always kept things honest. We don't want to change that, you know what I mean? But also we don't want to miss out on being able to take you along for these different experiences, because Alton Towers next year could do loads of stuff, especially with the new flat ride in Forbidden Valley. We want to be there and we want to take you along for it. We've been working for years to hopefully have a bit better relationship with Alton Towers, the local park, and be able to take you along professionally and do some more stuff like that, but it needs to work for both ways. At the moment it's very much Alton Towers one-sided, so let's see where it goes moving forward. We'll be honest, we're going to say this to them as well, and we'll go from there and see how it works in terms of the content creator program. But thanks for joining us. Quite a long clip in one spent, lots to talk about there, but as I'm feeling at the moment with Hex, great to have it back open. That's the main take of this. It's back, it's open. And let's just cut that there for a second, because there's now more to talk about in this video. It's now actually the night after when the rest of this video has been recorded, Saturday the 12th of October 2024. And of course, Hex has broken again. I can't believe it. I feel really sorry for the park and all involved in this. They spent a lot of time and money fixing this ride, getting it back in action, for it to last a day and a half effectively is a real shame. I've actually just been at Alton Towers today myself. I rode Hex again today for a second time since it reopened yesterday, and then a couple of hours after my ride, there was reports that something had happened inside the ride. And in fact, a fan of the channel was stuck in the vault on the ride for quite some time. There was some sort of mechanical issue in there. I don't know the exact details of what's happened. There's been some photos and videos that have been shared across social media over the past few hours. I'm not going to share them in this video, but just want to say that, of course, I'm glad that everyone was all right. Everything seems okay. No one was injured or anything like that. But there has been an incident that took place inside the vault mechanically with the ride, which has now resulted in it being closed again. And it does now mean that it's going to be closed until the park are expecting it to reopen on Tuesday, which is the 15th of October. But I feel really sorry for all involved in this. It's a real shame that so much time, money and effort has been put into this project for, of course, to be an incident mechanically that's happened in the vault tonight, the ride section, the final part of the ride, which has now resulted in it closing again for at least another 2 days. It could be longer than that. I mean, this is just from the official website at the moment. At the time of recording this, Alton Towers haven't released a statement about what happened or anything like that. Like I say, there's been a lot of images and videos and things that have been shared. I was chatting with a fan of the channel who was actually on there tonight as well, who got evacuated. But yeah, it's a real shame for all involved in this one. So, of course, yeah, it's a bit of a negative kind of ending to this one. I know it's not really been the most positive video anyway. I've had a lot to share in there. But, yeah, I am gutted for the park. I really am. We all were really happy to have Hex back. And as much as I mentioned in this video, there's been quite a few things that, I'm not a huge fan of in there. Ultimately, it was the ride that needed fixing. It was the ride that was fixed. And now, of course, there's been some sort of failure with that. That hopefully is going to be getting resolved in the next couple of days. I think the positive thing to take from this is Alton Towers are expecting it only to be closed for a couple of days. Obviously that could change, but at the time of editing this video and putting it together, obviously this is going out on Sunday morning for you all to enjoy. Then yeah, that is the current status of Hex. But again, I'd love to know your thoughts on the experience. Did you get to ride it over the past day and a half whilst it was open? Comment down below on this video. And of course, let's just hope that the ride can reopen from Tuesday. But there we go. Of course, thanks for joining us here on Theme Park Worldwide. It's been a video, it's been a bit up and down, this one, and obviously ending it with this quite sad news. Good for the park, good for all involved. But yeah, Hex is now closed once again. But thanks for joining us here on the channel, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you all in the next video.